All right, fish and golf with First Blood. Good morning, and I see Megan's with us this morning as well. Good morning, everybody. Okay, I think I've got a pretty good story for y'all this morning, but I wanted to look up a statistic real quick, and I'm getting hit with a bunch of old stuff. Do. Here's a newer article. This will be good enough. Close enough, but yes. So here's the story. Good morning, everybody. Okay. Good views on yesterday's show too. I'm very, very happy and optimistic about what's going on with Rumble and how everybody's watching and the show's growing. And I'm humbled and very excited about what we're seeing here. In fact, precisely because we did 3 hours Saturday night, we're already at a little bit past our target for hours streamed to maintain our position in the creator program, and I think everything's moving in a very positive direction for all of that. So, thanks for watching this morning, guys. All right. It is Taco Tuesday. Mario's got some errands to run this morning, so it's just me today, and that works out anyway because y'all, I got a story to tell you. Okay, so I went to pick the wife up from the airport yesterday, and we stopped for lunch on the way home, and she told me, and this is anecdotal. Right? This is anecdotal on the face of it. I want you to understand that to begin with. But she was having a conversation with somebody she was working with who is his full-time job is he's a security agent for the IRS. And he was telling her that there's this thing going on where illegals are coming to him, or coming to the IRS rather, and reporting themselves to get deported. Right? Okay. So they're coming in and reporting themselves so that they can get deported. And that sounds a little strange, right? So I did some looking into it. And it turns out that there's this interesting thing happening. So Scheinbaum, that's the Mexican president, President Claudia Scheinbaum, with her very Mexican name, something I'm sure that if you are paying attention, you might have noticed. Scheinbaum announces support plan for Mexican deportees as Trump takes office. So this article is a couple of months old. And this is something that happened a couple months ago. We haven't noticed anything about it yet because it's just kind of starting to take effect. And my prediction is we're going to start hearing more reporting about this in the coming weeks and months. By midsummer, I suspect we'll be hearing quite a bit about what's going on with this. So just hours ahead of the inauguration of Donald Trump as the 47th president of the United States, the Mexican government revealed details of its plan to receive Mexican immigrants deported from the U.S. by the Trump administration. President Claudia Scheinbaum told her Monday morning press conference that the government has prepared a comprehensive program for Mexicans deported during what Trump has pledged will be the largest deportation operation in American history. So, before I get into the details of that program, let me tell you about this. We have, this is from March 10th. Oh, damn it. I clicked the wrong button. This one. Okay. So this is from March 10th. And
it allows illegal aliens in the U.S.
Well, breaking right now, the Trump DHS is launching a new self-deportation app for illegal immigrants, giving those in the U.S. illegally an incentive to cooperate. And Bill Mallusion is live in L.A. with more. Hi, Bill.
Okay, so what she just said there is a little bit of fake news. I'll be fair, she only kind of lied. She said that the Trump administration has launched a new app that to help illegals self-deport. That's not entirely correct. What's really happening is there's a CBP app, Customs and Border Patrol app, and we've talked about this. This goes back to the USAID story and the funding of NGOs and how those NGOs are working against American interests, in part by essentially funding the mass invasion of hostile foreign illegals that has been happening, especially through the Biden administration, and has basically been shut off at the faucet by the Trump administration. Since Trump's inauguration, illegal border crossings have dropped by 95%, right? Statistically, that is essentially stoppable. That's excellent news. So the CBP app that they're talking about was brought in by the Biden administration, if I understand it correctly, and it's an app on a smartphone, right? That's already a piece of the problem. It's an app on a smartphone that illegal aliens can use to manage their court cases, to apply for benefits, and all that kind of stuff. So the smartphone angle, let's talk about that for just a minute. Hostile foreign invaders coming to the United States illegally. We're being told that these are poor, downtrodden, prosecuted, legal asylees, as AOC liked to say. And she was corrected by Tom Homan on that. No, crossing the border illegally is a crime, right? I have been I've been criticized for saying that being an illegal alien makes you a criminal, and the criticism is always, oh no, unlawful presence in the United States is a civil matter. Oh, yes, that is correct. Unlawful presence in the United States is a civil violation. Crossing the border illegally is a criminal violation. Understand that distinction. So if you're here illegally because you overstayed your visa, right? You came into the country illegally and then you overstayed your visa, so you should have left but you didn't. That is a civil violation. Illegally crossing the border is a criminal violation, and more to the point, it is an act of war. That is invasion by definition. Okay, so the CBP app was put on these smartphones for these illegal aliens who somehow have smartphones. See, there's a real piece of scandal right there. These people who were supposed to understand as being just completely mired in persecution and poverty being the key one here, somehow can afford, several $100 US dollars worth of smartphone and a data plan to go with it. No, that was being paid for with your tax dollars through USAID into these essentially CIA black budget cutouts that are generally referred to as non-governmental organizations, NGOs. So what the Trump administration has done is they've taken that CBP app and just added a function to it, a feature to it. You can use the app to self-deport. But here's the thing. If they use the app to self-deport, they haven't actually self-deported, right? Rather, they have voluntarily left. And this is an important legal distinction, because if you leave voluntarily, you do it yourself. You're paying your own freight to leave, whatever that means, right? Whether it's the sweat equity of just taking the leather personnel carrier back across the border, i.e. you walk your happy ass home, or you buy a bus ticket and leave that way, you are incurring the cost of leaving the country. But with the CBP app, once you leave, you can use the app to report to the U.S. government that you have in fact left. And that changes your legal status with regard to whatever court court case was waiting to adjudicate your asylum claim or your application for entry, et cetera, et cetera. But it means that the American taxpayer doesn't pay the freight to get you out of the country. Now, for most of you guys, I just said that if they leave on their own and use the CBP app, then it saves you money. But hold up. Wait a minute. Let's listen to this. Let's listen to this newscast a little bit further, and then I want to talk about that.
And Dana, good morning to you. So this is pretty remarkable. The Trump administration has taken that controversial CBP One cell phone app for migrants that the Biden administration was using, and they've repurposed it into a self-deportation app that is officially launching today. And we're getting an exclusive first look at it. Take a look. The app is now called CBP Home. It allows illegal aliens in the U.S. to register to self-deport. They fill out biographical information, including their countries of citizenship, which country they plan to return to, their alien registration numbers, their contact information, and it allows them to upload photos of themselves to confirm their identity. All of it is then submitted to CBP, and they leave the country. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, why would an illegal immigrant want to self-deport? Well, DHS says if they leave now, they will have the opportunity to return to the U.S. legally in the future and chase the American dream. But if they don't leave, they will be found, arrested, detained, and deported with a permanent ban on entry into the United States. In a statement to Fox News, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem said in part, quote, the Biden administration exploited the CBP One app to allow more than 1 million aliens to illegally enter the United States. With the launching of the CBP Home app, we are restoring integrity to our immigration system. If they don't self-deport, we will find them, deport them, and they will never return.
That right there is a key piece of the information right there. If they're found and deported on their own, they never get to come back. They get permanently banned from reentry. So if they self-deport, then they retain the option to apply for asylum, to apply for entry, and even to pursue citizenship eventually. Okay, cool. and they saved the taxpayer a few bucks by going across. Well, that last piece, though, that you can no longer come back, that's a big deal. And let's get back now. See, I'm trying to put all these pieces together for you. There's several big pieces. There's three major pieces that kind of go together that I want you guys to be tracking. And here's what I want to get to. And I'm probably going to end up talking about this a lot going forward, because I think what we really need right now is we need to raise public awareness about Mexico's policy on this and get these illegal aliens, make them aware of what their options are. I want them to know what their options are, because if they choose to self-deport, we get rid of them. We stop paying their freight while they're here, but they can come back. Now, as we get a little further down this rabbit hole, I think you guys are going to agree with me. I would rather buy their bus tickets. I would rather actually deport them, put them through the process, deport them, and have them permanently banned. And here's their major incentive for that. So she says there's a comprehensive program. Mexico will do everything it can to defend and attend to our compatriots. It will allocate what is needed to receive both those who are repatriated in order to achieve their reincorporation to their native country. Interior Minister Rosa Isela Rodriguez said during Sheinbaum's Monday press conference. Excuse me. The program, part of a strategy called Mexico Te Abraza, or Mexico Embraces You, includes welfare support for deportees, registration with the Mexican Social Security Institute, and transport so that returning migrants, quote, can reach their places of origin, unquote. She said that deportees will receive immediate financial support from the government to cover the initial costs they face after returning to Mexico. That support will come in the form of a compatriot welfare card, basically a $100 debit card, right? 200 pesos, about $100. So, if you choose not to use the CBP app to self-deport and instead report yourself to be deported, here's how it goes differently. Excuse me. Okay, so one major win for the U.S. When you're deported, you don't get to come back. That's worth the price of a bus ticket to me. Now, I understand it's not just the price of a bus ticket. I want you to understand that too. There is also the administrative cost of putting them through the process of deportation. Fine. Now, that cost, however, let's talk a little bit for just a moment about what that cost is offsetting, right? So this is from just a few days ago. The hidden cost of illegal immigration on American taxpayers and resources. Illegal immigration places a huge financial burden on American taxpayers, strains public services, and impacts wages and blue-collar job markets. A secure border is essential not only for national security, but also for economic stability. So I bought this place back in April of last year, moved out here, been here for a year now. We're about to, it'll be a year at the beginning of next month. We actually closed on the place, I believe it was May 7th of last year. So we're about to have been here for a month. We moved here from Conyers, Georgia. And a major piece of controversy that was going on in local politics in Conyers when I left, and I forget the exact numbers, Pitt, Danny can remind me perhaps, but for the last couple of years, Conyers has been working on, the Conyers government in conversation with several local developers had been working on building some 6,800 new homes in the town, in the city. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the area, Conyers is a small city, but it is a densely populated city for as small as it is in Rockdale County. It is the only city in Rockdale County, which is the only, as far as Rockdale County is the only single city county in the state of Georgia. It is the smallest county in the state of Georgia. They're trying to add 6,800 homes to a county that simply does not have the civil infrastructure to support it. So they're building, and when they say homes, I'll say homes. What they're building are these crackerjack boxes, these tiny little playhouses that are a foot apart from each other on postage stamps of otherwise undesirable real estate, so that they can cram in low quality, low income workers. And the problem, the real problem, apart from what a population explosion can do, Conyers is also the location of the Olympic International Horse Park that was built back in the mid 90s when Atlanta hosted the Olympics. And so a lot of workers moved from Atlanta to Conyers to go and work for high paying jobs at the International Horse Park. And then what happened is the Olympics ended, the horse park jobs went away, but the people that moved to get those jobs suddenly found that the homes they left in the city of Atlanta were now occupied and unavailable, and they couldn't move back. And they became essentially an augmentation to the lowest income, highest crime propensity population of the city of Conyers. And ever since that happened, plus there was the whole Oprah thing with Stonecrest, the city of Conyers has deteriorated demographically and in crime rates consistently for the last 20 years. It has become a dangerous and uncomfortable place to live, and that's why we left. Now, keep in mind, we moved there. My family moved to Conyers in 97, and when we moved there, they had some of the best schools in Georgia, like top 10 public schools in the state of Georgia, and many other attractive qualities. And today, they've basically been demographically reversed, and they are now the lowest. They're in the bottom 10% of countries for the I'm sorry, of counties. They're in the bottom 10% of counties for education in the state. And that has been a direct result of the thing that I just described with the commute change and the suddenly there were a bunch of great jobs, and then all of a sudden those went away. The horse park itself has become a financial burden on the city of Conyers, and that's really down to government mismanagement. They just don't know what to do with the place. Okay, So all that to say this: the 68 some townhouses and apartment buildings, you're cramming in. You talk about 6,800. That's somewhere between 15 and 10 and 15,000 people, maybe as many as 20,000 people, because some of these are multi-family homes, et cetera, et cetera. The sewage infrastructure can't handle it. The water infrastructure can't handle it. There's not enough roads. There are not enough roads there for that amount of traffic. The whole place is an absolute nightmare of traffic. That's one of the. I'm gonna have to actually drive through Conyers today, while I'm out shooting houses the rest of the day, and I'm already dreading it. They do have a nice new quick trip on the corner of 138 and Georgia 20, but that and the Korean barbecue joint they have. Those are the only two positive things I can say about the place anymore. So that's what happens when you import a lot of low quality people, and they are the less adequate. So that's one major cost of having millions and millions of illegal aliens come into the country, is we simply do not have the infrastructure to support that increase in population, right? When you do not have the infrastructure to support an increased population, your roads deteriorate, your sewage services deteriorate, your water services deteriorate, electrical services are strained. You'll increase the number of brownouts, all that stuff, etc. Dear God, Sergeant Major says, bring MARTA to Rockdale. Problem solved. That's like saying, oh God, I've got cancer in my lungs. I need more veins going from there to my other vital organs. I need to increase the rate of expansion to get less cancer in my lungs. I'll just distribute it to the rest of the body politic. No. Danny says, still very nice in the very south and north, but that's not going to last. Correct. Cancer metastasizes out from the center. Correct. One of the reasons it's so difficult to cure, by the way. So illegal immigration costs American taxpayers over $150 billion annually, with significant expenses in healthcare, education, and law enforcement at state and federal levels. According to a 2023 study by the Federation for American Immigration Reform, this net cost reflects $182 billion in annual expenditures, offset by roughly $31 billion in taxes paid by an estimated 15.5 million illegal immigrants. Those are big numbers. And the idea that, illegal immigrants aren't allowed to they don't get Social Security. Well, bullshit. They do. They absolutely do. They use free clinics. They attend public schools. And even if they don't get government support directly, which they do, and we have the receipts on that, adding more people to the local soup kitchen hurts your native poor population as well. Adding more poor people to the local food pantry, again, hurts your local poor people as well. You can't, basically you're importing poverty. That's what the invasion does. It's an import of poverty. So, back to self-deportation. So Scheinbaum's plan says that the program, part of a strategy called Mexico Te Abraza, they're gonna help them with welfare support for deportees, and even help with transport, like I read here earlier, so that they can reach their places of origin. Y'all ever seen the movie Born in East LA? Right, we've been hearing some horror stories about, what if we accidentally deport American citizens? You know what? Fact is, that is an actual risk. There is some risk of that. So I'll say this to my friends out there who happen to have Hispanic origin and and the accent to go with it, but are American citizens, y'all hold on to your paperwork. Keep it with you. If you haven't seen the movie Born in East LA, it's a Cheech Marin movie, and it's a fantastic film. The story is Cheech starts the movie off going to do some business with his cousin or something who isn't illegal, and he forgets his he left his wallet at home. Right, so Cheech is an American citizen, but he's Cheech, right? He's got the thick Hispanic accent and all that stuff, and he goes to do some business with his buddy, the mechanic, or his cousin, the mechanic, or whatever, and they get raided by La Migra, by INS, while Cheech is there, and he's put, hey, yo, I'm a citizen, man. I was born in East LA. Like, that's the title of the film. I was born in East LA, and they deport him. They take him back and they drop him off on the other side of Mexico, right? Well, on the other side of the border in Mexico. And so he can't get anybody on the phone to come get him, anything like that. And he ends up spending a period of time in Mexico and getting a job in Mexico, washing dishes at a bar. And he meets a hot bartender that he hooks up with. And I want to say it's Woody Harrelson that plays the coyote in that movie. But Cheech basically gets a job, works in Mexico, makes money so that he can hire a coyote to sneak him back into America illegally so he can get home and get his wallet so he can prove he's a citizen. And, okay, it's a great film. It's a funny movie. And yes, for somebody who found themselves in that very unlikely situation, that would be a nightmare. But even if you did forget your wallet, just make the phone call, right? If you were born in East LA and you find yourself in a bar in Tijuana because you forgot your wallet and happened to get wrapped up in an ICE raid, buy a phone card, call home, and have somebody not even meet you at the border. Have one of your buddies who's a citizen in the United States go to your house, break in if necessary, right? I'll describe that in just a second. I'll talk about that in just a second. Break in if necessary to get your fucking wallet and forget the border, drive into Mexico, go to the little bar in Tijuana, drink a tequila, laugh about what happened, and come home. Right? Because once he comes and gets you with your wallet, with your driver's license, and whatnot in it, then you can come home. Especially if you've got a passport, that's even better. Then you can come home just like you would if you just happened to be an American tourist. You'd be fine. Now that break in if you have to thing, breaking and entering, just lawful presence in the premises of another, right? If you are the authorized agent of the owner of the property and you enter without the key, but you have been authorized as the agent of the owner of the property, that is not breaking and entering, right? That is a justification, right? Your buddy calls from the restaurant where he ate some shrimp and says, "Hey man, I go home and get my EpiPen. Your door's locked, man. Just fucking kick the door in." This is a justifiable reason to break in, right? Authorized agent of the proprietor of the premises. Good to go, right? So there are mechanisms, and most of you guys out there, especially if you're a little older, you have a friend. Oh shit! Sergeant Major says, "Ask Kelly Lee." I don't want to get into that story too much right now, but we have a friend. She's Chinese, American citizen. I actually don't know what. I know Kelly is lawfully present. She has to be with the number of businesses she owns and the number of properties she owns. But somebody called the cops on her when she was trying to. Somebody saw her climbing into the window of a home that she owns because she forgot her keys somewhere else. And the cops showed up. The sheriff's department showed up. in force and put her and her husband on the ground at gunpoint. It was psychotic. And she did not take the appropriate legal actions afterwards for fear of the controversy. I tried to convince her that she needed to file a FOIA request and get all the body cam footage out of that and pursue that, because she was treated abysmally by the local police. Oh, and by the way, that was Conyers. God, you couldn't pay me to go back there to move back there. You know, maybe doing a little business, but that's, yeah. Pitt Danny says somebody that does that is the very best friend. Oh yeah, drives to, yeah. I'm your guy, right? for my friends that know me, my buddies, we are those people for one another. That's, if you don't have friends like that, you need better friends, right? You know, Pitt Danny says somebody that does that is the very best of friends. Guys, especially if you're a grown-ass man, your Rolodex needs to have some names in it where you know you can pick up the phone and say, hey, meet me, bring a shovel, and don't ask questions. And frankly, the guys I'm talking about, you say, meet me bring a shovel and meet me at place. You don't even have to say, don't ask questions. We already know what the deal is, right? We're going to take care of each other. Oh, I could do a whole show on that topic alone, because, you know, certain people just are not safe within the justice system in the United States presently. It's getting a little better under Trump, but the enemy has captured our institutions to a degree that is terrifying. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Let me put this pin in it, and I think I'm going to have to give some thought to. I'm going to have to give some thought to how to correctly explain this very succinctly in like a 30-second to a minute short type of video, and put that out for illegals, because basically here's where we're at. The illegals currently have 3 options. Well, 4, but one of them just isn't acceptable. So one of them is to just continue being illegals and get away with it. Hopefully, that option gets thinner and thinner every day. There are 3 options that are really available. One is they choose to do nothing, get caught, get deported. 2, they choose to self-deport and report their voluntary repatriation to their home nation, to their host nation, through the CBP app, in which case they retain the option in the future to apply for legal entry and pursue citizenship in the future. Prefer they not do that, right? It beats the first 2 options, right? I'd rather them be gone than not. But the win-win is to report to IRS, INS, CBP, any federal law enforcement agency, and confess to being unlawfully present, to being an illegal immigrant, and ask to be deported. If you report and you ask to be deported through the legal process in the United States, then the American taxpayer is going to foot the bill to put you on a bus or a plane and take you back to Mexico. Once you arrive in Mexico, because you have been deported, right? And that's an important, I'm not sure if I clarified that sufficiently. Once you've gone through the process and been deported, you become eligible in Mexico for the benefits under the Mexico Te Abrazas policies of the Mexican government, where they're going to set you up. They're going to give you the compatriot welfare card, get you into their Social Security insurance system so that you get some money there, and help you either get established find a place to live, whatnot, medical services, etc., at the expense of the Mexican taxpayer, which beats the hell out of me paying for it. Or help you get to your actual country of origin, right? I mentioned the movie Born in East LA. One of the things at the beginning of the movie, when he first gets to the bar in Tijuana and meets the guys that, he meets a bunch of people who just got deported by La Migra, by the American Immigration and Naturalization Services, because it wasn't CBP back then, because this movie's from the 80s. He meets these guys at the bar, and there's Mexicans, and then there's the OTMs. And the OTMs, other than Mexican, there's one that's like Chinese. I think there's a Jamaican, but there's like three or four or five guys who are clearly not just not Mexican, but not even Hispanic, right? But they're making a political point there. And I don't know how much merit there was to that claim back then. Although I honestly wouldn't doubt that there was merit to the claim. But the claim was that when the U.S. catches illegal immigrants, they don't care where they came from. They just dump them all in Mexico. Now we know we're not doing that now. We're dumping them in El Salvador and in Venezuela and the like. We're sending them back to certain places. But even there, I wouldn't be surprised if there are some Mexican illegal immigrants that are ending up in the El Salvadoran supermax. And frankly, I don't care. I don't care where you go. You don't have to go home. You just can't stay here. So the downside from our perspective as the American taxpayer for these guys, if they use the CBP, self-deporting app maneuver, they retain the option to come back. They retain the option to come back and pursue citizenship later. Even though, so they might have saved us a buck there, but they're going to cost us in the future. I'm not happy with that. The downside for them, so it's a lose-lose, the downside for the illegals that self-deport that way is that they remove themselves from eligibility for the Mexican government programs under Mexico Te Abraza policies. And so they lose out on those government benefits. So if you self-deport and report through the CBP app, you're taking on the entire cost, the freight cost of getting yourself back to Mexico, and whatever the cost of just getting yourself reestablished. You got to find employment, find some money. If you just go to an American federal law enforcement officer and get yourself deported, there's two governments working for you to cover the freight and get you the fuck out of my yard. Take advantage of it, guys. If the government's going to hand you money, even if it's bullshit, we're living on the wrong side of the sucker line sometimes now. So go for it. Now, Mark Rosario says, cool, let's strip the assets of student visa overstayer Elon Musk and ship him off to Super Guantanamo. See, Mark, that's what you miss when you come in late. I already addressed the visa overstay. That is a civil matter, not a criminal matter. And in the case of Elon Musk, he did overstay a student visa at one point, and that is a civil matter which he has resolved in courts. Right? You're just a racist. You hate him because he's an African American. And I feel sad for you. He's the wealthiest African American, and that hurts your little heart. But it is what it is. All right, guys, I'm going to put a pin in it right there because I got to get down the road and make me some more money. I like money. I am a devout capitalist. I live in the united theocracy of capitalism where the dollar is almighty God and possessions are 9/10 of your commandments. So I'm going to get down the road and get that bag. Thanks for watching this morning, guys. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.